Hello, everyone. Now then, how many people have actually seen Google social search? Do you want me to do a very quick demo? Because I know Danny mentioned it just at the end. Yes? No? Yeah? Yeah? OK. So let me unlock my computer. And then hopefully, as if by magic. OK. Now, you'll have probably guessed by my appearance I'm an engineer. I'm also not that reliant on PowerPoint, so all my demos are live. If the internet goes down, it could be very short. Hopefully, though, it'll be quite interesting. So let's do a search for TravelThink very quickly. Come on, internet, don't fall apart already. That would really suck. There we go. OK, now I'm opted into social search. You'll see that currently I've got Google experiments running. If you search for Google Labs, the first result, hopefully, will be googlelabs.com. And you can go there, you can find out all the different experiments and products that we're currently testing and opt in to any that you're interested in. In this case, you'll see here experiment social search. And I can simply click show options and then click social. And of course, there are no results. Brilliant. So let's maybe just search for something more generic like Android. You'll see here what it's done is have a look at my Google profile, find out the services I'm connected to, in this case, Twitter and Facebook, and return comments, wall posts, tweets from people within my social circle directly to me. Now, it will also, when the results are really relevant, actually blend them directly into the search results too, just like you'll see if I do a search for Buckingham Palace. You get, if we don't do social, you get things like maps, hopefully, there we go, maps and images and video results and news and so on, kind of blended in there. At some point, we're going to start to see social getting blended right in there too. So it really is going to become a core part of everything we do and how we search. But let's get back to the case in point. Robin and David spoke to me a couple of months ago and said, could you do a talk about maps and mobile? And I think even 2 years ago, maps and mobile would have been two separate talks. But these days, they're so closely interlinked with things like location-based services that it's almost one talk. You have your mobile on you all the time. Chances are, at the very least, it's got, it's able to find out where you are based on cell tower location. But these days, it's probably got a GPS chip in there as well. And there's all sorts of crazy things you can do with it, too. We'll come back to that one in a minute. But I don't know how many of you read Wired magazine. OK, good, a good chunk. Probably the more nerdy ones of you, I'm guessing. But there's a really good article here. It's long, so put aside half an hour to kind of wade through it. But it's about a chap who enabled his iPhone with location-based services for about a month, and just saw how he got on. He kind of, he was using it, using recommendations of things nearby in order to choose where to eat and so on. And as a kind of social experiment, it's thrilling. It seems like it's not quite there yet. But this was almost 6 months ago now, so maybe the technology's got to the point where the services do exist. We had also an Android developer challenge about 1.5 years ago. This was to encourage people to develop applications for Android. So iPhone, the App Store, you guys probably know all about that. Android, the Google operating system for mobile phones, also has applications available for download. Now, probably the key difference between, well, there's 100 different differences between Android and iPhone, but one of the key ones is the fact that it can do background applications. How many people know what a background application is? Yeah, not that many. OK, so I'll tell you. What it means is you can have apps running on the phone while it's doing other things. So when you make a call, stuff can still be running. While you're reading email, other programs can be running. So in one of the most famous apps, or one of the winners of the Android challenge competition, was this one called GeoLife. Now, the picture hasn't come out very well, so we've got a YouTube video here that rather goes on a bit. But I encourage you to go and have a look at it. Here we go. That's probably the best screenshot we'll get. You specify tasks that you've got to do, or that you want to do, and specify where they are. And you can use this searching on a map. So you've got to do some dry cleaning, search for a dry cleaner nearby. That app just then sits running on your phone, and when you get nearby, your pocket starts to buzz. And you take it out and go, what's that? And it's like, oh, yeah, the dry cleaning. I've got to pick it up. It's just over there. And that seems like a really, really simple thing to do. And it's really only touching the surface of what application or location-aware applications are able to do. We're getting more advanced. We're seeing more operations all the time. But let's, before we look at that, compare everywhere. How many of you have seen this application? One or two. OK, so for those of you who haven't, hopefully all the Google guys have seen it. What it lets you do is, maybe we need to skip back here a little bit. You hold up your mobile phone. It has a camera, obviously, and you use the camera to scan a barcode. It reads the barcode, looks it up on an online database where such barcodes are available, and then does a lookup on Amazon to give you reviews and a bunch of other price comparison sites. It'll show you where you can buy it on the web, but also where you can buy it nearby. So you're around at a friend's house listening to a DVD, you think, oh, that's good. Blonk, oh, and there's a shop around the corner with an offer for $5 or £5 or €5. So you nip round the corner and you get it. And it's a way for you to learn very, very easily about different products and find out where they are. Now, I can see this happening that we're going to go into Currys on the high street, and you're going to get the Currys salesman giving you the hard sell for the home router or the new flat screen TV that you want. And you go, yep, that's the one for me. And then you go, can I just have a look at the box? Scan, right, it's cheaper online, gone. But that's empowering the user. And users are going to start to use these tools more and more. They're going to be more informed. They're going to know about the different offers. In the travel industry, you guys know this better than most. People do so much research online before they actually book a holiday that they probably know as much about the destination sometimes as some of the reps who are meeting them there. Now, there's some other features beyond location-based services, and we'll come back to those, that we're looking at. One is, you may have heard about this, YouTube introduces automatic captions for deaf viewers. What we're doing isn't rocket science, and it's not 100% perfect, but we're able to scan a YouTube video, extract the text, or extract the voice, convert it to text, and understand the information that's contained in the video. Using this, we can now caption the videos. But if we pipe that through Google Translate, we can actually present captions in multiple languages. So we can present videos in French to an Englishman, or videos in English to a Chineseman, and they've got a pretty decent chance at understanding. Why am I showing you this? We've made this free. So this is China Daily. It's apparently a Chinese daily newspaper. I don't know how many people here speak Chinese. I don't. But when you push it through Google Translate, it breaks a little bit in that the images go, but I can understand the text. And it's not going to be perfect. All headlines are risky to read out live, but you get the idea. Before, I couldn't understand a word of that. Now, at least, I've got a fighting chance. And I can actually click around through this site and navigate and be able to understand it. This API is available for Android phones as well. So imagine being able to use the speech-to-text element that YouTube has, hold your phone up when you're in a foreign country, you're all reading these headlines, aren't you? Have this information translated in real time on my phone, and me be able to actually see in subtitles what the person's saying. And then I can say it back, and because it knows what language we're conversing in, it can then translate into text for them, and I can hold it up, and they can read what I'm trying to say. And assuming that it hasn't made a horrific error, then we're actually going to be able to have a meaningful conversation. One step further, you have a Bluetooth headset that's actually reading it to you in close to real time. And then I don't know how many of you have read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but we really are one step closer to the Babelfish, the thing you put in your ear that just translates between languages. It might not be us who does it, but the point is these technologies are on the cusp of emerging, and they are going to happen pretty soon. Universal communication, the fact that someone can travel anywhere and not feel the culture shock, is going to be available soon. There are some other things happening in Maps and mobile too. We recently launched, as some of you may have seen, real-time routing on Android phones in the States. And it's like any kind of real-time navigation in that you get to see, you punch in a location and it shows where you are and then shows what routes you've got to turn. We've got some advantage with things like Street View in that we can actually show the junction that you need to turn at so you can see what that junction looks like in advance. But there's also some other bits and pieces, like search along route. Now, I don't know if you want to hear another earnest Google guy, but...
Such as gas stations, restaurants, or parking. You can use the layers menu for easy access to popular types of places like these.
Okay, you guys get the idea. I'll leave that playing without sound. But essentially, you can roll these layers on, just like in Google Earth and Google Maps, and actually see places along the route that you're looking to go. You can also search specifically by name. So if you're looking for the In-N-Out burger in this case, or for me, the McDonald's, then you can get the nearest McDonald's to the route you're driving. It doesn't take a massive leap to understand that this is going to be a huge opportunity for advertising in the future either. Driving along, it gets to 10 o'clock because, of course, the phone knows what time it is. It knows the last time you stopped at a restaurant because you've been moving constantly, so you haven't stopped to eat. And there's a hotel nearby. Why not stop in our hotel free supper if you check in the next 10 minutes with this voucher? Bang, barcode on the phone. I mean, that's the sort of place we're going to be able to get to. In the shorter term, you're just going to be able to, rather than searching for businesses that come up in the Yellow Pages listings, I imagine that you'll be able to run adverts along here too and just kind of appear on that route. There's some other cool features. So you're in the car. You'll probably need sound for search by voice, otherwise it defeats the purpose.
Navigate to 1965 Page Street in San Francisco using Google search by voice.
Now, you have to believe that that's actually translated off him speaking, because obviously you didn't see him go, "Ooh, look." But the point is, when you're in the car, or even more so these days, when you're just trying to fiddle with your... I've got a touchscreen Android that I actually lost this weekend, so I'm stuck with a BlackBerry. But it's kind of nice to have a physical keyboard again. I don't know how many of you use iPhone or other touchscreen phones, but I've got spoons for thumbs, and I mash all the keys up. So I'm often typing things incorrectly. To be able to search by voice, even for a restricted set of data, like navigation, or like restaurants, or like services nearby, can be incredibly powerful too. And we're getting better at understanding voice all the time. One other feature, which doesn't exist yet, but I'd like to talk about briefly, that I think is a real opportunity for the travel industry, is similar to the things to do. So, this thing in your pocket buzzes when there's something nearby to do. Imagine that you could get recommendations from your concierge. And he says, go to this restaurant. And you say, OK, I'm off to this restaurant. The phone knows where you are, and off you go, and you sit down, and you have your meal, and you come out. And because the phone knows where it's been for the last hour and a half, it can make an assessment. It goes, well, you've been in this one place. This one place tallies with the restaurant that we know is here. Buzz, we think you've just been to this restaurant. Would you like to review it? And you say yes, and you say, well, it was 3 stars, and maybe you want to add a comment, maybe you don't, maybe you're just happy with the 3 stars. But you can encourage people to start giving you this information simply by writing intelligent apps. Once you start to aggregate this data, you can start to feed it back to users in interesting ways. So information in the last day, the last week, the last month. Maybe the substitute chef is on tonight, and so his cooking isn't as good. That means you should keep away. The advantage being then, all you have to do as a concierge service is offer this application to all your customers. It doesn't matter if they've taken your flights or your hotels, they're still feeding back valuable data to you wherever they're going. And I think everyone's talked about data. I think Google always talks about data and how important it is. But the more data you can collect, the more information you can gain, the more useful you're going to be able to be to your customers. If you can find out that of all the 2.4 children families that come to your resort, 95% of them like going to this restaurant, start feeding that information back. Have this mechanism which learns. The very final thing is augmented reality. I understand this has been talked about a little bit today. How many people understand the term? Has it been explained very well? OK, I guess. Well, this is augmented reality here. These guys are a company called Wikitude, and they entered the Android Developers Challenge as well. I won't make you listen to his soft Austrian voice. But essentially, the phone knows where it is. It knows which direction it's facing because it's got a compass in it. So it can tell you what you're looking at. He's outside in the middle of nowhere, and he's looking at I can make it out here, maybe you can't there, but he's looking at a castle kind of over the hills. And it's actually overlaying, there we go, it's overlaying this information directly on the camera. And as he moves around, the pins will move with him. I've been living in London for 12 years, and I still get lost in Soho. And I use it to find a bar, and I'm walking around Soho like this, like a lunatic, kind of pointing at the place that I'm trying to get to. But the point is and I see other people doing it too, which relieves me somewhat. But the point is people are using these technologies now. These guys provide a white label solution. They did something for Wimbledon called the IBM Seer app. And you could go to Wimbledon with an Android phone, point it at any court, and it would give you a real-time breakdown of who was playing and what the scores were. They also had scouts running around checking queues at the lavatories and which places had special offers on strawberries. And that information would come up on the screen too. If there was space at the taxi queue, now's the time to get away. This is only going to come more so, again, in the future. But it's not going to be scouts out there collecting this information. It's going to be your customers. And it's about you being able to collect this information and provide it back to other people with the same app that's really going to help drive this forward. And the last slide, which came up first, which is a shame, but it seems to me on the web, whenever porn start to get involved in something, there's an awful lot of money to be had. They're now starting to dip into mobile apps, which tells me something. There's an awful lot of money to be made there. And there's an awful lot of opportunity, too. People have their phones on them the whole time. Tamar mentioned, appeal to people's senses, excite them. Your phone is, to some extent, your eyes and your ears. It can see and it can hear. And you trust what it tells you, because often you're messaging your friends, and they'll get back to you. So being able to deliver information to a device that someone cares about that actually does, these days, some of their thinking for them is a really powerful hook, and definitely something to think about for the future. I hope that was useful. Dan, I guess you're going to come up now. Thank you.